UFC Noche just ended last night. Decent card, much better than Canelo's boxing event. That was boring. The whole fight was boring as well from Canelo's boxing match. But anyways, back to this. Back to this. Jean Silva, Diego Lopes delivered. Crazy fight, crazy finish. On that note, the fighters have suffered their fourth loss this year. Jean Silva being the last undefeated, now defeated in the UFC. Funny enough, this guy was the most skilled out of the main four and suffered the worst finish out of all of them. But like I said, these guys are not frauds. They're going to come back. They're going to keep on giving us exciting performances. And Carlos Prates is evidence of that. He lost to Ian Gary and then went on to give us that crazy finish over Jeff Neal. So don't jump ship. Don't start calling these guys frauds. They're not going anywhere. They're gonna stay in the high elite area of each of the divisions. So don't jump ship. These guys are here to stay, and can't wait. I can't wait for their next fights. But yeah, this whole fight night was kind of like a Walmart version of UFC France, as in all the countrymen won, all the French people won, or all the French fighters won, and all the Mexican fighters won. But not as exciting, as in the Walmart version. But yeah, I kind of have a conspiracy theory, as in I kind of feel like these guys they're kind of incentivized to juice. Like I feel like the UFC kind of sends in a letter saying, "Hey, are you gonna juice? We're not gonna test you." Like I kind of have a feeling you're saying, because I feel like the UFC kind of want these guys to win their fights in their country and gain more of a following from each country. Kind of have a feeling, but maybe I'm just coping just because I got some of these picks wrong. But anyways, let's start at the very bottom. UFC Tough finale for the welterweight bout. Sezinando versus Donchenko. Sezinando being the grappler and Donchenko being the striker. And Sezinando decided to strike with a striker and got cut open and got beat up. And I did say Donchenko was gonna beat up Sezinando if it stayed on the feet, which it did. And then once Sezinando decided to go for the grappling, he was cut open and he was rocked badly. So it was kind of hard for him to take down Donchenko, a much more healthier version, a much more healthier fighter in the fight. And then got stuffed and went on to get beat up and finished. So good finish by Donchenko. He's another Yuri at the UFC. That was supposed to be about Valentino, if you remember that guy. And that dude's currently 0-2 in the UFC. But yeah, good to see another successful, exciting fighter fighting in the UFC. So can't wait. And good finish. Got this one wrong, but it is worth it because Donchenko is actually pretty good. Or pretty exciting, I mean. Or both. So yeah, until next fight. Rendon versus Alice Pereira. It was okay fight. I mean, it was kind of bad. But anyways, I just chose Alice to win because she was kind of exciting in the regional scene, but we all know the regional scene does not translate to the UFC scene. And yeah, I got it wrong. Rendon was the slightly more. I mean, she was the vet basically. She showed her experience by throwing 1-2s and clinching up against the cage. And yeah, decent performance, I guess. I mean, I feel like Alice can still improve. She's still young. She can improve, have a bright future in the UFC. But for right now, she lost. Losing isn't the end all be all, like I said. So, not a bad loss for your debut at a young age. And yeah, not much to say. Got it wrong. Costa versus Coria. I also got this one wrong. 3 wrong in a row. I said Costa was gonna win just by being good or being okay, and Coria not being. He was looking like looking in the regional scene is not good for the UFC scene. But no, he actually showed up and jabbed. He was landing the jab all throughout the 3 rounds of the fight. Costa didn't adjust. Costa did land a couple like good shots while Coria was backing up in a straight line. But yeah, aside from that, Coria had the better striking, and then went on to pile up the damage and finish Costa in the 3rd round. So good finish by Coria. He trains with Van. The commentators brought it up, so that is interesting. Maybe the whole gym has found a new way of training. Maybe they're on the come up of having the next fighters at flyweight, but who knows? So yeah, good win by Coria. He still needs to keep on climbing his way up the division. So I don't know who else to give him next, but yeah, good win. Reese versus Dumas. This was a no contest. He got nut shot and couldn't get up, and yeah, there's not much to say. They can. I feel like they should reschedule this fight. This was an interesting matchup for me. So yeah, they should reschedule it for, I don't know, like November, December, according within that time frame. So yeah, yeah, there's not much to say. Flyweight, I get my first right pick, exactly how I said it was gonna go. They're both close in skill. They're both well rounded, but one fought better comp, and the other one is still kind of new in the UFC. So for that reason, I chose Aguilar, to win just by experience, aka their resume. And yeah, I got it right. There was moments Luis was winning, and there was moments Jesus was winning, but Jesus was able to win the very last moments of each round, and I feel like the judges did get it right. It was a close fight, but I did think Jesus won. Yeah. Next fight, Amanda Lemos versus Tatiana Suarez. This is exactly, I got this one right as well, exactly how I said it was gonna go, which it doesn't take too much thinking to get this right. The grappler beat the wrestler, the striker, which poor anti-grappling. So yeah, it wasn't too exciting. She barely was able to take down Amanda. For the most part, it was only pushing her up against the cage. But yeah, it was a decent win. 3 rounds, just doing that. But yeah, Tatiana should fight next with Jean Silva for the vacant strawweight title fight, because we all know Weili, she vacated to fight Valentina next, trying to get the double champ status. So this will be a good fight. They're both, Jean Silva is on a winning streak. She's getting a bunch of finishes over. Her last fight, she fought Zhao Nan, and she beat her. So this is a good fight. Zhao Nan fought for the title in her last fight before Jean Silva. So they do both deserve to get a win. To fight for the title next. All right, next fight. This one I got right again. Puelles versus Silva. Puelles got the single leg, got Silva down on the ground, got his back, and almost subbed him, but it didn't do that. Silva, by being a actual well-rounded fighter, survived, and then the round ended. Silva went on to stuff his Puelles takedown and started, using his MMA skill, because he trains other martial arts, not just BJJ. He was able to beat up Puelles for the second round and third round. There was a moment where Puelles landed a nasty shot on Silva and rocked him, but Silva, being a fighter, survived and kept on fighting and kept on mixing in the martial arts and beat Puelles. So good win, good decision. And yeah, I don't know who they should fight next, but whatever. The last fight of the prelims. This guy is Bolivian, not Mexican, so he does not have the Mexican roid power. So he got beat up for the most part and got subbed. So yeah, not much to say. I don't know how this guy's even in the UFC. He lost his Dana White Contender Series, and he should have been cut like a long time ago. He's 3 fights into the UFC, so I don't know how that's even possible. But yeah, I don't know who this should give to Todooric next. Medina should not be fighting in the UFC. He must know some people, and yeah, good win. Onto the main event. Onto the main card. Santiago Luna versus Quang Lei, another Mexican fighter making his debut, getting a finish over a UFC fighter. This one does make sense because Quang Lei is not good. Santiago Luna was an unknown. I didn't even know much about him. There's not much footage on him, so I was like, I'm just gonna go Quang Lei just for that reason. So Santiago Luna it's not crazy to see why he won. He did get rocked, but the roids saved him from getting chinned. Okay, I'm joking. Maybe I'm wrong with the whole conspiracy theory, but it is just a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's true. But yeah, good win for Santiago Luna. And who they give him next? Not a ranked fighter for sure. They should build this dude up, and let's see if he's able to have a good career at the UFC. Yeah. On to the next fight. We got Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. I got this one right. Good finish. He was beating up Diego Ferreira for like 10, an additional 10 seconds extra because the ref was just like, just staring at like an idiot. I was screaming. I was like, ref, do something, but he didn't. But good finish by Alexander Hernandez. A lot of people were choosing Diego Ferreira, And I was kind of like, oh, Diego Ferreira does, he does have the skill set to be Hernandez, but I just had Hernandez just because of, you know, I had a feeling he was gonna win the first round. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to this fight because I was kind of like, at this point I was getting ready to leave, so it was kind of hard for me to pay attention. So yeah, I only saw the finish live, and good finish. He dropped him, ground and pound, and yeah. Now Alexander Hernandez should definitely get a ranked fighter next, and the only one I can think of right now that does make sense is Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's old. He's ranked, but he's been on a losing streak, and you know, this is a good, you know, I feel like this is a good step up for Alexander Hernandez. You know, Alexander Hernandez did have somewhat of a following back when he first started in the UFC, and then he, you know, we all know about the whole storyline of the Cowboy Cerrone thing, and you know, that kind of just took away a bunch of his hype, and then went on to have a mediocre career in the UFC. But now he's having a resurgence. This is a good step up, you know, good winnable fight for Hernandez. You know, you want to build up Hernandez right now. Chandler does not deserve another big fight. He deserves a step down fight, which is Hernandez. So yeah, they should give him this fight, in my opinion, makes sense. All right, next fight, Kevin Gastelum versus Stoltzfus. Basically, what I said was what happened was Kevin Gastelum was gonna outbox Stoltzfus and just beat up Stoltzfus and win, which is what happened. Decision. You know, Kevin Gastelum, he has good boxing, but like he hasn't dropped anybody, like he hasn't KO'd anybody in a long time. So I don't know. Some people said he has KO power. I don't remember who said that, but I was like, what are you talking about? He does not have KO power. He just has good boxing. And that's why he had a competitive fight with Izzy, because Izzy struggles with people that has good boxing. So yeah, he missed weight. I low-key thought he was gonna get subbed in that moment. I think it was like the second round or something. If he made weight, he probably would have got subbed in that moment and lost. But you know, those tacos saved him from getting subbed. So yeah, good win for Kevin Gastelum. But yeah, stop eating tacos, man, and make weight next time. If he does not make weight next time he fights, he should definitely get cut at the very moment. And yeah, because it is unfair. All right, next fight we got Garcia versus Gordon. I had Gordon being the much better fighter, but you know, Garcia had the roids. He tanked all of Gordon's best shots. Literally, all these fighters that were supposed to lose literally tanked shots that were supposed to put them out. Didn't get dropped. I mean, didn't get KO'd, and then just started to win by cardio. Just saying, like, if nothing screams roids, this screams roids, because Gordon was putting nasty shots on Garcia and survived, and Gordon, you know, was tiring like a natural human. He was getting tired, and Garcia was, you know, still having good cardio and finished Gordon. You know, the less skilled fighter beat up the more skilled fighter. Maybe I'm coping, but it does not make sense, in my opinion. Roids. Anyways, next fight, David Martinez versus Rob Font. Good win for Martinez, you know, a ranked fighter at bantamweight. So David Martinez is gonna get ranked after this. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even see this fight. I was totally busy watching while this fight was going on, so I didn't even see a second of this fight. I don't think it's I mean, I didn't see people commenting robbery, so I have not much to say. But yeah, roids. Anyways, Martinez now being ranked. Everybody else at bantamweight is booked. There's only Umar. Is Umar booked right now? I don't know. If he isn't, Henry Cejudo isn't booked. And maybe this fight makes sense. I don't know. Maybe there's nobody else right now for Martinez. Maybe Martinez waits for another bantamweight fight to finish, and then he books a fight with someone else. But for right now, Cejudo and Umar are not booked. Unless Umar's booked, like I said. I don't know. I haven't checked his schedule. But yeah, maybe this fight is next for Martinez, and have a legacy fight against a former Mexican, Henry Cejudo. All right, to the main event. This one was amazing. I was kind of busy while watching this fight, but I was kind of watching it with a side eye, just watching it, and the finish kind of happened out of nowhere for me because I wasn't paying attention, kind of. But it was a good fight. I rewatched it after. This was the only fight I decided to actually watch again on the replay, and wow, that was a really good fight. Diego Lopes, Jean Silva, started off with John Silva. It started off a little bit slow. They were kind of looking at each other at range, just getting used to each other's range and striking, etc. And then John Silva was landing a couple decent shots, landing that what's it called, that front kick where did land like I think like the first, I think it landed like the second time he tried it, but then John Silva got overconfident, threw a spinning back kick, gave up his back. He missed the kick, gave up his back. Diego Lopes, having that experience, and just having the high fight IQ. He is the number 2 in the world right now at featherweight. He took the advantage, took the back, got John Silva down, and started. He is the much better grappler, so he just held down John Silva, cut him open. Horrible first round for John Silva. Like if John Silva was gonna win, this round should have was basically ruined it for John Silva to beat Diego Lopes. And John Silva did get up and started to like land combinations on Diego Lopes. So it was clear that John Silva was the better striker than Diego Lopes. Then the second round starts. I think Diego Lopes gets him down again, if I remember correctly. But John Silva gets up again. They start striking again, and John Silva was beating up Diego Lopes pretty badly. Rocked him at one point while Silva was backing up against the cage. Diego Lopes was open. John Silva threw a right hand hook and landed pretty nasty. But Diego Lopes has that blockhead, so he survived. And then they start striking a bit more. John Silva was, out-striking Diego Lopes up until the exchange happened where John Silva, being overconfident, just masterclassing Diego Lopes. First, let himself be exposed for a second. Diego Lopes threw that spinning back elbow. That's the third back elbow in this year happening. So that it's kind of crazy. Maybe that's the new meta. Just throw your back spinning back elbow. But yeah, he landed it, dropped John Silva pretty badly, rocked him, and then Diego Lopes started ground and pounding him. And the thing is, John Silva was holding onto the cage. So if you think that's an early stoppage, John Silva holding onto the cage makes the stoppage fair, because that is you can't be holding onto the cage for no reason at all. So Heron getting dropped and then getting ground and pound and holding onto the cage, it was a fair stoppage. So great win. So good win for Diego Lopes. And now that John Silva lost, he should be fighting down the rankings at featherweight. And Dan Ige is right there. That's a good fight, good matchup. Makes sense. Do it right now. Winnable fight for John Silva, and he could put a masterclass, crazy finish KO over Dan Ige. So this one makes sense for John Silva. And yeah. And now for Diego Lopes, he won against the number 10 ranked John Silva. So it's not a huge win. And we kind of don't want to see him rematch Volk. So it makes sense for him to fight someone else. And the whole featherweight division is on a log jam right now. There's Algermain, there's Mosvar, there's Lerone Murphy, there's Diego Lopes. Who else? There's some other fighter I don't remember right now. But yeah, I feel like in a perfect world, Volk fights Mosvar, Algermain fights Lerone, and Diego fights Yair, in my opinion. And for two reasons, this fight makes a lot of sense, because the beef. We all seen that press conference where they were screaming at each other, cursing, and also right now, we do not want to see Diego Lopes rematch Volk. And this is a very winnable fight for Diego Lopes, and it keeps him afloat at the title fight contention scene, because there's a bunch of fighters right now that that kind of want to fight for the title. And this is a winnable fight for Diego Lopes. If he wins, now he can fight for the title the next fight after this. And yeah, it keeps him afloat, basically what I'm trying to say. So that's all of UFC Noche. Decent card, much better than Canelo's event for sure. I was basically falling asleep watching that. And next week we got Oberg versus Reyes. I'm obviously going for Reyes. We're all going for Reyes. If you're not, you're either what is it, New Zealand, or you're lame. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and goodbye.